Well, there you are. There's our first contest. Then into the flyweight division at 49 kilograms is the max, and we have Belik GALANOV up against Yosbany VEITIA.
Now, VEITIA is known as El Diablo in Cuba, the devil. He's a southpaw, 23 years of age, comes with some impressive form, not only throughout this season, but also a World Championship bronze medalist, a Pan American Games silver medalist, and it is the Cuban that will be the favourite of the two.
Yes, he's by no means the perfect machine, Nick. You know, he's a lovely boxer, don't get me wrong. Got some great moves, but he's not powerful.
You're absolutely right. And I'm very interested to see how Belik GALANOV takes on this Cuban.
And the fighters are ready. Moscow, are you ready for fight? Boxing fans.
And by the way, there's quite a contingent, Nick, isn't there, of Cubans here as well. There's about 25, 30 of them.
It's good. It's good to see. And good to see Cuban support in the crowd. They will be watching this match very carefully. As you said earlier, Steve, there were one or two people who thought that it should have gone Cuba's way the last time they boxed here in Moscow. Russia got the better of Cuba, their only defeat of the season so far. It was a 3-2 win for Russia.
Please welcome to the blue corner of the ring, from Cuba, Yosbany.
Now, as we said, 23-year-old southpaw VEITIA. He's had a good season, but I agree with you, Steve, absolutely. If you have to start picking at the things, if you have to criticise, I would like to see him with a bit more power. Doesn't have that big punch that so many of the Cubans have, but he has got some beautiful moves and very fast hands. Not easy going up first, Steve, but he's boxed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times this season on the WSB. Obviously undefeated, as we said at the beginning of the show, and very impressive when needed to do the business in his quarterfinal in the United States of America, away from home, maintaining that undefeated 6-0 win record.
Yeah, he's done superbly, and he's a very attractive little boxer as well, you know, despite lacking a bit of power. He's a very confident young fella, and don't forget, he's ranked #1 with the World Series of Boxing, whereas his opponent is ranked #14. Now, I say that, but not with any great confidence, Nick, because we've seen very high-ranked boxers in the past get wiped out.
Absolutely right. We've seen some real upsets, some real surprises. Now, the thing for me, Steve, is that GALANOV is coming off the back of his second fight on the WSB for this season, and it was a loss. He actually got beaten by Belik of Kazakhstan. So confidence not at an all-time high. Not easy being the first bout of the night either in front of your home crowd.
Don't forget, of course, they are used to that, Nick, for boxing at light flyweights. They're always first off. And don't forget, of course, that loss that GALANOV had to the Kazakhs. The Kazakhs are still very much in this game. They are the reigning and defending champions. And, of course, we'll take on Azerbaijan in the next round of semi-finals.
Absolutely, and that's a match that we're all looking forward to. If you haven't figured it out or worked it out, of course, each nation hosts the other 2 semi-finals, but we add the scores up. Looking for our 2 teams to make it to the finale of the season.
And of course, one thing that's absolutely guaranteed here, the Russians will ensure they don't go away empty-handed, or at least they'll try to. But of course, the Cubans also know that boxing away from home, it kind of doubles their workload, Nick, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And of course, different weight divisions, 10 weight divisions within the World Series of Boxing, with the super heavyweights, for example, in the next part. And I think that the Cubans in the other 5 weight divisions, Steve, that we'll see in a week or so's time, May the 2nd, is the second semi-final, is the stronger part of the Cuban squad.
You may well be right. And don't forget, of course, that initially this was a 5-weight tournament. Now it's a 10-weight tournament, which is even better.
So here is the Cuban, just 22 years of age, as we've already mentioned, ranked #1 in the WSB for the light flyweights, and looking to maintain that unbeaten record for season 4. So, VEITIA looking confident. His opponent, Belik GALANOV, 25 years of age. 1 win, 1 loss. Ranked 14 for the season. It's a big ask this for GALANOV.
2 bouts, 1 win, 1 defeat. Его индивидуальный рейтинг WSB and his individual WSB rank number 14.
He's coming off the back of a loss, as we said earlier, and looking a little anxious, I have to say, and I'm not surprised. VEITIA is a very tough opponent, and the Cubans will be expecting VEITIA to do the business here, get them off to the start, as we've said throughout this pre-bout build-up. 2 debutants for Team Cuba, having their first taste of WSB action in their lineup tonight. This is one of their established stars.
And can I also add, Nick, that this is a completely different outing for GALANOV. When you remember, he fought the Kazakh in his last bout and got beaten. That was a head-to-head, toe-to-toe bout. This is a completely different prospect because he's got a very, very smart southpaw in front of him, knows how to move, knows how to punch from all kinds of angles.
And I have to say, Steve, I don't like the approach that GALANOV's coming here. He's carrying his hands very low. He's very fast. You watch him whip that uppercut through from Yosbany. He's just got to keep that guard a little tighter and a little higher for my like.
Well, he's set his stall out already, hasn't he, GALANOV? And, I mean, his stall really is saying, look, you know, I'm here for the taking, take me. But the thing is, you know, an awful lot of these Russians, and of course, Eastern Europeans, Nick, they do wallop, you know, and you've got to be very, very careful. If they do catch you, you're in trouble. But I'm not sure that applies to this young fella. I'll eat my words in a moment. And GALANOV, 25 years of age, obviously more mature than VEITIA, who's 3 years younger. But VEITIA is a very talented fella.
Good skills, I think, from the Cuban so far. He's getting that jab off. He's scoring points. And he's got a slightly longer reach than the Russian. And he's boxing at range very nicely.
But don't forget, of course, Nick, in the event of a close round, we know where it's going to go. Decent right there, I thought, from GALANOV. But it's significant that VEITIA didn't even flinch, did he, when that punch landed? Best shot of the round so far.
Absolutely, Steve. And VEITIA keeping his calm.
Yeah, didn't take a single shot there. Blocked every one of them with his gloves high. You couldn't get 2 different boxers, could you, style-wise?
He's trying to draw him in, isn't he? That's the plan, that's the tactic. The orthodox boxer trying to get the foot inside the southpaw boxer. But VEITIA is staying calm here.
Well, the interesting thing here, Nick, is that VEITIA doesn't need to take a forward step. He knows that GALANOV's got no choice but to come to him. And all he needs to do is just move back and pop him off.
And that's exactly what he's doing, and doing it very well here. It looks to me that GALANOV is just looking for a big punch. He's got one off. He's got a nice uppercut. But he's trying to lead in. It looks to be a little bit of a blooded nose as well to VEITIA.
Yes, I think that's that right hand, Nick, that did it.
15 seconds left on the clock in the first of 5 rounds. There again, he's put that in.
Oh, that was a decent right hook there, I thought, from VEITIA. But no count against GALANOV. Could have been.
Well, a fast and furious finish to the first round. I've got VEITIA putting in a little bit more work, but there is no question, a beautiful right hand from the Russian, letting the Cuban know. Look at the damage that he's caused to his nose there.
Yeah, that was certainly a punch, a right hand, in fact. So that proves that GALANOV has got a bit of power about him. Here we go, a bit of replay here from the opening round. And the damage is already there. Yeah, that was a push, it wasn't a knockout. Now, VEITIA may have nicked the first round, he may not have done. All depends on the judges, which, don't forget, any 3 of 5 will be picked randomly by a computer. They won't even know they've been picked, and their scores matter, ours don't. Well, as you saw there, by majority verdict, VEITIA, the winner of the opener.
Well, one of the judges had the Russian ahead, but VEITIA in control after the first round. That nose does not look very good at all. And it's something that the referee will be keeping a very close watch on into the second round here. And GALANOV will know that he hasn't won the first, but having seriously cut the top part of the nose of VEITIA, that will help the Russians' confidence no end.
But it's interesting to note, Nick, that things have changed, you know, an awful lot with the World Series of Boxing on the planet now. You know, the rules have changed regarding injuries. And, you know, a cut on the bridge of the nose is not a fight-threatening injury. Unless, of course, it's absolutely enormous. You know, OK, he could take care of that. But, of course, once upon a time, the slightest bit of blood, the bout was over.
A slight sense of urgency now from VEITIA. He wants to get on with this. There's a nice left shot. Walks right onto it there, GALANOV.
Well, a classic example there, hooking off the jab from VEITIA. He's very good at that as well. And, of course, he can box left-hand forward if he needs to.
He's not afraid to switch stances, that's a fact, and it's pretty exciting when he does so, especially when he starts launching his combinations. He'll come back in an orthodox stance, then switch back to southpaw, if nothing else, just to confuse his opponents.
Absolutely, but the one thing I don't like about VEITIA is he sometimes actually moves the wrong way against an orthodox boxer. He goes off to his own left, which of course he should never do. Always go off to your right, keep your leading foot outside of your opponents, you know, and they're only one-handed.
Got to watch that big right hand, VEITIA.
A nice left uppercut there from VEITIA.
He's a strong lad, GALANOV. He's taken some of the Cuban's biggest punches, and you can see now VEITIA just starting to get a little frustrated. And this is this Eastern European or European style, Steve. They like to keep coming forward. They like to show their opponents that they're strong, that they're powerful. And the Russian's telling the Cuban he can take his biggest shots, no problem at all.
That's certainly what it looks like, Nick. And I get the feeling here now that VEITIA has kind of in the groove, if you get my meaning. You know, he's quite comfortable out there. I don't know whether GALANOV has got anything to upset that rhythm he's developed.
I think he's just hoping that VEITIA has a lapse in concentration. He's just hoping for a mistake, but as you quite rightly say, Steve, he's getting into a rhythm here. It's all starting to flow together nicely. The combinations are there. He's picking off the punches, scoring the points, and starting to control the fight.
And another thing, of course, I'd like to add is that Belik GALANOV, he may well be a throwaway, knowing that they couldn't put anyone in to match the #1 light flyweight, so they chucked in the throwaway. I don't know, Nick. You know what it's like?
Absolutely. For me, second round has gone to VEITIA, and GALANOV, no big right hand in the second round that we saw in the first.
They kind of got a bit outboxed, didn't he, in that second? Of course, we'll have to wait now for the judges to see what they made of it. Don't forget, of course, it was a majority verdict in VEITIA's favour in the opening round. I thought he did much better in the second.
I agree, Steve. Much more fluid, almost settling the nerves, going about his usual business.
So a bit of replay here. I think that was the uppercut that I may have called, that looked good at the time, but missed on the replay. And once again, poor old GALANOV here just not getting through with those combinations.
Well, again, it's a 2-1. 3 of the judges, but it is the Cuban that is ahead and now starts to draw clear. If he takes this one, he'll find himself in an almost unsurpassable position. And so I'm sure the corner for the Cuban are saying, same again, please. Let's keep serving it up to him. Not too much showboating, keep with the skills, keep with the drills, and box him at range. That's got to be the way to deal with this orthodox Russian.
Lovely, Nick, well done. And a beautiful right hook there a moment ago from VEITIA. A little bit of head movement from GALANOV, and all of a sudden he walked straight into it. And, you know, I mean, he's got very quick hands, isn't he, VEITIA? Very smart operator. And, you know, with the gloves this high, awfully hard to get through. Plenty of body there, though, that GALANOV is ignoring.
I like the footwork of VEITIA as well, Steve. He's in, he's out. He's so quick. In with a combination, then he's out of range within a split second, and it's one of the calling cards for so many of the Cuban boxers. Beautiful footwork. So often it looks like they're dancing right on cue. A nice little shuffle as well.
Yes, and also let me remind you that the scoring punch is, of course, landed with the knuckle part of the glove on the target area with sufficient force. That's the definition of the scoring punch. And if you're seeing an awful lot of shots coming in from GALANOV and they're landing on the gloves of VEITIA, it means they don't mean a thing.
And he's also expanding a lot of energy as well. And that's where VEITIA will start to close in, perhaps in rounds 4 and 5. But VEITIA is showing the Russian that he can box in close and he can box at range. He's showing him he's got all the skills, but as you pointed out, Steve, he covers up really well to frustrate the Russian, if nothing else.
And of course, the big problem now for GALANOV is, you know, okay, I'm going to get my head boxed off at long range. I'm going to get bashed up on the inside. What on earth do I do?
Frustrating as well when you're an orthodox boxer up against a southpaw, trying to find those angles, create the space, pivot in, pivot out. So difficult.
But as I said, I think GALANOV has been a bit of a sacrificial lamb in this opening bout. I don't believe the Russians think that they've got any boxer who could deal with VEITIA. So, you know, they put this lad in. And he's not doing too badly, Nick.
He's doing very well. VEITIA letting some very fast combinations go there. We've just got over 30 seconds in this third round. And once again, VEITIA gets into his rhythm, into the groove, starts to dominate, and continues to look very confident.
And once again, the confidence oozing out of VEITIA here. You know, I don't think he's even out of second or third gear here, Nick, to be honest with you. You know, he looks very comfortable. I've seen him in the past, and he's really, really had to go up to scratch. But I don't think he's even near that now.
Very good point you made. He is knows that he's got this one under control, and well on track to his 7th win of the season. VEITIA. GALANOV, brave performance, no question of a doubt, but just unable to go with this footwork, the moves and the skills. Let's take a look at some of the replays, Steve.
Here we go, and once again, VEITIA, you know, he actually absolutely controls this ring. Anything you do, he lets you.
Clash of heads in that replay. Won't help that cut on the nose.
And I did say, of course, earlier that VEITIA doesn't carry much of a bang, but he is very smart.
And all 3 judges have VEITIA. He's now 3 rounds up, and it will take something very big, very powerful, and a knockout punch to give GALANOV this opening bout of the 5 here in Moscow Arena this evening. And VEITIA will know those scores and will continue to control this opener.
And don't forget, of course, Nick, that this Cuban side will have discussed at great length that 3-2 defeat to Russia. They want to overcome that, of course, for national pride, if for nothing else. But, of course, losing at this stage is a major handicap. You've got to win. And the Russians, of course, think, you know, because they've got first pick, you know, in the first leg, they may feel that they're going to come away with the win, but I don't think they will.
Well, you said it earlier, Steve, it's very unlikely that the Russians will leave Havana with many wins, because the strongest side of the weight division will come in the other second part of this semi-final competition. This is a better opening minute for GALANOV.
I'm just surprised, actually, that VEITIA hasn't actually caught GALANOV far more regularly. I mean, I think if he wanted to, he probably could, just like this. But, you know, there are times when GALANOV is completely undefended and gets away with it.
He does get away with it. He's guard very low. Lead jab hand as well, coming up from his hips, looking for it rather than from that traditional and technical high position that so many boxers have drilled into them. And is he doing that, Steve, to try and draw him in, to try and draw the southpaw in?
I don't really know, Nick, but what I do know is that VEITIA have been making life an awful lot easier for himself. You know, he's getting involved at times when he has no need to get involved at all. You know, we've seen what he's capable of, and then all of a sudden he turns the bout on its head. You know, he's shoved off GALANOV. He's got the range, he's got the distance, and he controls things. And when GALANOV does close that gap, you find that VEITIA is no longer in control.
So impressive in his quarter-final match against Anthony Chacon. And VEITIA has got to keep it tight. I agree with what you're saying, Steve. He could be doing an awful lot more. Almost coasting in this fourth round. Knows that he's got the first three. But GALANOV keeps coming forwards. Will not give up until the bell, and the bell at the end of the fifth.
Well, he's got absolutely no choice whatsoever, Nick, as you said in the previous round. Only a knockout will do.
There goes the bell to the fourth, penultimate round.
And the funny thing is, that's the round that GALANOV could have nicked.
Much better performance. Seemed to find a better rhythm to his combinations, GALANOV, in that fourth round.
Well, Nick, for what it's worth, I've scored that round level. I think the judges are going to be pretty much split on that one. Not a decent effort there, I thought, from GALANOV, and as you so rightly said, VEITIA made life difficult for himself.
Absolutely.
I think he's taking liberties here, VEITIA, with his opponent.
And they've given it GALANOV. You're absolutely right, Steve. Well spotted. That's why you're the expert in the box. And GALANOV nicks around back. Still at 3-1. Let's see if VEITIA can respond to that. And if nothing else, show some of his real class in this fifth and final round.
Yes, indeed. So here we go then. Fifth and final round, as Nick has already said. And, well, the man in the white and gold sparkly shorts, this terrific Cuban, he's got things to learn, Nick, hasn't he?
He has, yeah. He's got a way to go. And I think that's part of the reason why Cuba has been one of the most exciting additions to the World Series of Boxing, but they also realise that it's giving their boxers a fantastic opportunity to box around the world with some of the rising professional stars in the game. And that's exactly what the Cuban head coach wants to achieve for his small squad of boxers. His experience across 4 continents this season.
Yes, and I've got a feeling here that Mr. Asabal said to VEITIA, look, get out there, do what you do best. Don't get involved as you have done in previous rounds. And look at this, VEITIA hasn't taken a single shot yet, and he's landed at will. Because he's doing it his way, the way he should be doing it.
Cuban southpaw leading with that right lead jab. And a very, very fast left hook. I like the way he jabs and then hooks off that jab as well. That's one of his calling cards, one of his key skills.
And to be honest with you, Nick, there's not a great deal of power in the hook off the jab. You know, yeah, it lands, of course it does. It's a bit of a shock, but you know, it doesn't tend to knock you out because you can't get the same momentum.
Yeah, or the twist and build the power.
A feint, of course, is completely different. If you feint a jab and then you do land a hook, hey, different story.
Typical of the Russian style and performance. Digging deep with 1 minute just under on the clock left in the fifth and final round. GALANOV will be delighted to have taken at least 1 round up against the top-ranked light flyweight boxer for the 2014 season here on the World Series of Boxing.
And our Danish referees had virtually nothing to do in this particular bout. It's been clean. You know, we've seen some pretty bad-tempered ones over the months, but this has been a pretty clean one, despite it being hard-fought. And hard-fought, of course, on behalf of Belik GALANOV, because, you know, he's had no choice. He's had to go looking for a fight.
Great work from Yosbany. Not easy when you're away from home. to put the first set of points on the board for your team. It will give confidence to the 4 Cuban boxers who are still to fight here in the Moscow arena tonight. It is the perfect start, surely, for Cuba, looking for revenge. The last time they were here, they were beaten 3-2 by Russia. And the semi-final 1 of 2 to be contested. Yosbany, VEITIA gets Cuba off to the perfect start by my scorecard here, Steve.
Yes, indeed, Nick. And, of course, don't forget, coming up in the bantamweight division, we have a first-timer for Cuba up against a number 2 ranked bantamweight in the World Series of Boxing. Now, and I'm fascinated to see how that one's going to work out.
It's just a few moments away. Let's wrap up proceedings with the opener, the light flyweights, and it looks to me that Yosbany VEITIA has done enough to keep his unbeaten record. He'll go 7-0 for season 4 in the World Series of Boxing, and that's an impressive record. What a tour he's had.
Yes, indeed. And of course, this Moscow arena absolutely buzzing with people. Look, keen, of course, to support their Russians, but also to see the greatest boxing team on the planet, Cuba.
And good to see some local support as well. It's great that some of the Cuban fans have travelled to Moscow to cheer their team on. Here's the official result.
Первый судья George 1, 49-46, 49-46. И судьи 2 и 3 единодушно оценили этот бой как 48-47. And judges 2 and 3 are in agreement, scoring the same, 48-47. Таким образом, единогласным решением судей победу одержал. And your winner by unanimous decision, from the blue corner.
So there you are then, Yosbany VEITIA is declared the winner. Now, strange enough, Nick, 2 judges actually went 48-47. Very, very tight. That's 3 rounds to 2 in VEITIA's favour, but 1 judge had it almost right. 4 rounds to 1, 49-46. I had it 50-46. I don't know about you.
I added 50-46 as well. But VEITIA, Yosbany VEITIA, 23-year-old from Havana, has got Cuba off to the perfect start here in semi-final leg 1 at the Moscow arena. Cuba take the lead, but we wait with bated breath for bout number 2, because Russia has one of their big guns out to box. Vladimir Nikitin will go up against WSB debutant Norlan Yera from Havana. Well, there we see the judges' results. Some closer than others, but a convincing win and a perfect start for Cuba. 1-0 up against Russia, with bantamweights, light, welterweights, middle and heavyweights bouts still to be boxed.